Okay, I got cut off in the middle of my sentence here. So I want to go back to talking about one of my revision strategies. Even sometimes I do this as I'm writing, sometimes I do it when I'm done, especially when I'm done. I find, especially this might help for organization or when we're beginning to write, especially some of these longer papers. This might be a big help. I never say we could I just copy and paste this in and I go, okay, what's the type of claim? Okay, so when I get to this section, I'll say, okay, I need to identify and describe the type or different types of claims or arguments. Okay, all right, so I got to start with the type of claim and what's the argument. So let's say it's cause and effect. So I'm saying it's a cause and effect argument. The author is claiming blah. So right, we get the type of argument. Here's why, and then in a specific example. So then I will find where exactly in the text I'm seeing this causal argument, and I can quote or I can paraphrase how the author is doing that, right? And then rhetorical situation context. I think this is where we were when I got cut off. All right, so to help myself from that happening again, put my timer up here. Describe the rhetorical situation in the context of the text you chose to analyze. Use evidence from the text to support your point. And remember when we talked about rhetorical situation a couple of weeks ago, rhetorical situation is kind of answering why did this thing need to be written? And so we can kind of even come down in here where it says summary, rhetorical situation, purpose, and description, right? We're kind of summarizing. We're describing the author's rhetorical situation and purpose kind of a little bit right up in here. Then when we get down here, we're going to talk about now we're talking about the context of the article. So they're a little different in that sense. And so just by way of pointing that out. So this is why did you kind of asking and answering the big question of why did the article need to be written? Right, it's responding to something. It's relevant. It's timely. So the obvious ones right now, uh, if you're analyzing one about COVID, I know that I know one of you out there is doing something about the mask mandates, right, in public schools, right. So why does that need? What's the rhetorical situations there? We have COVID. The rhetorical situation includes this disagreement, right, of why, how come, who gets to tell somebody else what to do, right? It has to do with freedom. It has to do with being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, not having the government tell you what to do, essentially freedom, right? So that becomes the rhetorical situation. It's the context of why this article needed to be written. What's it kind of, in some ways, it's almost like its little purpose. What's the purpose? What was the purpose of the article? Ethos, right? We talked about ethos, describing the credibility, right? So you got that becomes a heading, right? Ethos. Then you have another heading, pathos, and then you have pathos, and you got your logos, and then you're claiming your conclusion, right? So it's like you're putting in, and you can kind of get even more detail down here if you want to use this essay organization and kind of formatting down here. I always set these things up, and I just make sure I'm not forgetting anything, right? Make sure that every single thing I'm typing in there, introduction, this is my heading. Introduce the topic in the context, right? State the purpose of your essay. In this essay, I will explore, introduce or foreshadow your evaluative claim, right? I argue that author A presented a strong argument, right? And then maybe say based largely on the use of facts combined with her knowledge on the topic and credibility made it a very convincing argument, right? So that's your evaluative claim. Now, remember, if you have a question about what an evaluative claim is, we can go back to our arguments and claims that we talked about, argument types a couple of weeks ago. And remember that there's definition, there's evaluation, causal, proposal, rebuttal. It's one of our own types of arguments that we studied a couple of weeks ago. So we can use that because we're making it an evaluative claim, right, in this one here. So those are the things. It's like a checklist, right? So one of the revision strategies that I'm kind of talking about here that we kind of talk about a little bit this week is this would be a good place to start when you go back and look at the is everything here, right? Number one. If you haven't gotten that far yet, that's okay too, right? Sometimes we do these in phases, right, or stages. Some of us, and that's how I write. But anyway, that's kind of an overview of one revision strategy. Of course, I'll be back with more revision strategies for you as we get on throughout the week. All right, I wish you all a most wonderful week. We'll talk very soon. Stay safe and stay awesome. Bye now.